Welcome to Wednesdays with Willa. I am your host, Willa White, and this is my weekly podcast show that airs on my Wednesdays with Willa page, Willa White Medium. And so you can view things of the archived videos of the past shows I've done relating to spiritualism, mediumship, healing, faith, family, and more. And I'm so fortunate to have on my show today, Barbara Sanson. Thanks for being here today, Barbara.
Oh, thank you for asking me. I feel very blessed to be with you, Willa, on your show. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Barbara has been a guest on my show many times. She is a wonderful resource for spiritual healing and one of the most generous people I know in terms of helping people connect with their loved ones in spirit as a registered medium. And then also serving for many, many years as the former chairperson of the Healing Temple here in Lilydale, which is a beautiful building that has served many people throughout the years to assist them in their understanding of spiritual healing, but also to really engage with the divine consciousness in that space. So we're blessed to have her with us again. And I encourage you to look back at the archive videos of Wednesdays with Willa. If you type in Willa White and Barbara Sanson, you'll find some great shows from the past dealing with spiritual healing. So you can educate yourself further about this very important topic. And today we'll be discussing the vital components of spiritual healing. And I know Barbara's going to hit this out of the park, as she always does. You're such a beautiful force of spiritual healing. And when I think of you, Barbara, I always often think of you, even in your sleep, thinking and dreaming of spiritual healing. So,
Sometimes I do, Willa, yes. Sometimes I do.
living and breathing it. So let's begin, first of all, with what is spiritual healing? And then we'll move into those vital components of what it takes to really be aligned to help the spiritual healing happen.
Thank you, Willa. In a condensed version of what is the definition of spiritual healing, it would be the receiving or the sending, as you will, of the energy forces, not only from the divine, the creator, guides and teachers, if one so believes, those are all possible through the centering, through the intention of the person placing hands or simply working in the aura around someone to help them be uplifted, energized, or whatever the person is seeking in their intention of healing. It can also serve the masses in the sense of group healers working together in spiritual healing for the greater good of an object, a force, a condition, or situation. So it is the magnificent power of coming back to the center of our being, which is filled absolutely with spirit. And a spiritual healing can help someone remember that, open up to it for the first time, use it not only for their own lives, but then the betterment of perhaps their family, their loved ones, even animals. So we're all attuned in the life force to spiritual healing. Yes.
Absolutely. And it's something that comes very naturally. It's definitely considered one of our spiritual gifts.
Yeah.
And God has given us this understanding of connecting with that higher power to be able to help ourselves and help other people. And it's
Absolutely.
such a beautiful experience when you serve as a spiritual healer, because you can feel the energy of the divine coursing through you to them to assist the mind, body, spirit in a very special way. And throughout the ages, spiritual healing has been very important. It's been talked about in various scriptures, especially highlighted in the Bible with the works of Jesus and the miracles there. And so we draw our understanding from our personal experiences of spiritual healing and all the beautiful stories of the past that help us to know what's possible for us and bringing forward that energy in the light and love of God.
Absolutely, without question, without question. And, healing is available to everyone. And it is available on the same level of what is love or the energy of the spirit forces, I would say God, the divine and infinite, whether it be your belief in guides and teachers, or all of that. It can be all of that. It is the placement of that energy directed by a healer, if they're working with a healer, perhaps through prayer in the beginning and a little dialogue, but then it is the ability to the healer to stay focused, stay centered, and stay a conduit through the healing time, and then also the receiving of that energy to the person that is either sitting with them, or it can be a person's name. It can be a person in a hospital with several healers sending them spiritual healing through the ethers, because they have done incredible experiments, if you will, or evaluations, and thought does travel. It is an energy, it moves, it circulates according to how we think or are open to receive in the blessings. And so thought is a very powerful thing. And when spiritual healers put their first very important thing, their intention, everything else aside, when I come to a healing, and it's not just about me, but I'm talking as my own experience. When I come to a healing, nothing is more important than the situation at hand, be it a request in an absent prayer book, or be it a live client or receiver of healing. That is the most important thing in my life at that moment. Nothing else. Not the phone, not wondering what I'm going to have for supper. I wonder who the next client is. None of that. And it takes a little practice, folks, in our hustle bustle kind of crazy world these days. It's not always easy to put things aside. But I would encourage you, those of you who are maybe new at this, to work at that. And it will build, and it will become stronger in your ability to take an inward breath, let it out, and focus on the ability to just let the divine flow and awaken in you. It's never not been there. Trust me, if you are on this earth plane in this century, this millennium, this decade, and you are doing healing, it has not left you. It is part of your life. And so we have to remember, in our first vital component, I think this is the most important one, we have to remember that we need to connect. And even if we've had a wonderful day and everything's just gone wonderful, there's never not a time when I personally don't take time to reconnect with that and to acknowledge it and to give gratitude and blessings to what is going to happen and what can work through me in love and truth. And so I invite the highest and best always in love to come and flow through me to the receiver, whoever that receiver be. And by the way, dogs and cats belly up. They love the energy too.
Yeah.
And so it is a wonderful, comforting experience. But love and intention and connecting with that, I would say, are an intrinsic part of the first most important piece. And for some of us, if it's hard for you to focus on the aspect that God is alive in you as you, then I would say focus on something you love, be it a child, be it nature, be it your life, be it something beautiful that has occurred for you or a loved one, and focus on that magnificence, because that too will open your heart.
Yes, that's you have nutshelled what is the primo thing that we learn as spiritual healers, that we have to set that loving intention to connect
Absolutely.
that higher power, and to also connect with the person that we are doing the healing with or praying for. It's prayer, Barbara's been on the show before. We've talked extensively about the power of prayer and
Yes.
how that can really change and alter the physical body chemistry of the person who is praying
Absolutely, Willa.
and the
Absolutely.
one they're praying for.
So,
And I think that loving intention to do good is the first vital component, as you said.
absolutely, love, the intention to do good, the intention to be a conduit, I like that word, or a battery cable, if you will, from your battery to the engine. And so when those things are harmoniously aligned, positive and negative polarities, and in a vibration of polarity, wonderful things are able to impart to the recipient. I don't need to know what they are, though many people want to share them with you. But a lot of times, I'm going to talk about for a minute doing a little more private healing, like one-on-one, rather than always at the healing temple. And if I do have those clients that I see, it would be simply that I would ask them if they would like to share and talk about their desire to receive and what they are actually looking to accomplish or accept in their lives. Because we have to remember, folks, another vital component is faith. Now, faith opens the door. I'm not going to say to you, faith necessarily does the healing, but faith of your beliefs and your acceptance that you can be renewed, that you can receive, that you can feel better is a very intrinsic part of the receiver's acceptance of healing, number one, and also of the healer's belief that the light and love of God is flowing through me, flowing through my hands to the recipient. And so it is a belief system of acceptance and receiving, of course. And so that's very, very good. Along with the next, let's say 2B, if you will, to number B, would be the power of your words, healers. How, I don't mean Jimmy Swaggart or any of the charismatic healers on television, though they in their own right are doing good. I have nothing negative to say about them, except I think sometimes they get a little colorful. Well, I've seen that even happen with healers. Okay, so let me just go back and say our understanding of the spoken word, our understanding of the power of words. Example to you. I just can't stand it anymore. Whoa. Those are powerful words, and they can be said in a variety of ways that can also clutter, damage our emotional self, cause a little chaos in the auric field or the energy around us, as well as emotionally and physically and spiritually inside of us. So when we use a tonality, we need to be mindful of our voice, a tonality, a caring, a cadence, a way of presenting the words that we are going to invoke and speak around someone receiving. And if you listen, healers, in vital components, if you listen carefully, you will find out very, very much of the time where someone is at, where they may be at emotionally, where they may be at mentally in their thoughts. They may come to you, I'm giving you examples so that you understand what I'm talking about today. Oh, I am absolutely exhausted. I've had so many things go on in the last 6 months. My mother passed away. My kids have been, lost their house, etc., etc. I don't cut those people off in private uh, opportunities for spiritual healing. I let people talk to me as they need to talk. In other words, folks, in private sessions, healings aren't 2 or 3 minutes. My sessions can last up to an hour, depending on the necessity. And a lot of people who've lost loved ones, and we know we've all been through a very, very contentious time with COVID and all the things that have happened. So I let them talk because talking, if you will, folks, brings it up out of our solar plexus, out of our emotional area, and lets it go out into the ethers. And that is a very important thing for people to let go, if you will, to create a renewed space around them and inside of them to accept the love and the power of spiritual healing. Everything okay, Willa, with
Yeah,
the
we're
cameras
doing
and
fine. We're doing fine.
everything?
Thank you.
So, folks, if you're not the most eloquent speaker on the planet, and we all strive for improvements, so look, then keep it simple, but in the keeping it simple, keep it focused to them. Don't just look at them and say, well, what reason did you come here? What are you looking for in spiritual healing? Look eyes, always look eyes and soul and heart. Give this person the acknowledgement, the respect, the focus that they've come to ask you if you can help them in spiritual healing. So, yes, words can be very important from the recipient. Now, let's shift to the healer for a moment. Words can be very important in the healer. And I would say you can offer a prayer, you can offer intention, you can offer the inspiration and the teaching of natural law, as well as spiritual loved ones who help and assist unseen beings in the power of this healing. Lots of times people will come to me and say, oh, I hope this healing works. And I say, ma'am, if this is the kind of energy that you are putting forth in your life and in this moment, we need to talk about something that how we can uplift you, inspire you, give you something more than that hope. Though hope is not bad, hope can be uplifting, creative, inspiring. But when people talk that way, to go into a spiritual healing for that person, I would do everything I can as a love being to help them. However, if they're in that emotional state and they sit there, then I often wonder how much they've received or not even connected with the God within them. So, healers, it is our responsibility perhaps to have a little bit of dialogue with people, encourage them to go into their heart space and perhaps let the light and love of God just grow as they breathe in and out in their acceptance of this healing. Many of the healers who worked at the healing temple when I was there would say to the person, are you ready to accept this healing today? Will you accept this healing today? And I think that's a very powerful question because the part that becomes responsible to the receiver, he gets elicitated, in other words, if you will, gets put in the healer's lap, so to speak, that they oh my God, I just don't sit here and close my eyes. No, there's even more. And there's even more to all of this. It could be a college course if we went on and really worked on this, session by session, but it becomes a responsibility of the person receiving to take that with them, to breathe it in. And then I say to them, will you allow yourself to breathe in the new and let go of the old? And I would say, my dear lady, you don't even have to know what the old is. As long as you are allowing in your in-breath the newness, the renewal of the love of God to fill you, and in your out-breath, letting anything go that you feel no longer serves you. And I would tell you folks, there are many, many times that myself and the other healers have witnessed something like this. Where they have come to a point that they're feeling that love.
Yeah.
And they realize that they don't have to hold on to the shackles of something that is negative or unpleasant, and they can let it go. Now, I'm not saying that's easy, ladies and gentlemen. We're all human. We all have our journey. We all have lessons that we learn. But the greatest humble humility that I can think of is to be in the presence of someone who has accepted a greater awareness of God's love, because that's where the whole ball of love and truth and the laws of the universe start working anew through them. Yay, yay, yay. It is humbling. And of course, I'll tell you, sometimes with some people over the 29 years, I've had a little tear in my eye too, because it was such a strong experience of energy. And I don't mean whiz bang, they fall off the chair. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying love awareness, emotional opening of their heart and their soul. And they have accepted something that they have waited a lifetime to know exists. What a special moment for the receiver, for God and the spirit forces who've been waiting to help realign that, and for myself to witness. It is very, very beautiful. And not everybody can do that on the first healing, or the second healing, or the third healing. It might take a while. Because remember, folks, people outside, their spiritualism at one time was one of the largest religions in the United States. And it has closed up and it's opened. It's been like an accordion, and it's grown and it's closed, and so on and so forth. And we're in a new time now of spiritual awakening. And there's a lot of people wanting to know more. I'm not saying they're going to become spiritualists, but they want to know more. They want to know about healing. They want to know about the laws of the universe. What do I do as a healer? How do I stand? How do I talk? How do I move my hands? To be able to serve humanity. And that is a noble action that God, when you stay focused on that, will never let you down, never, as a spiritual healer, if you stay in that mode of thought and work. Now, to go back to the voice, and then I'm going to go on to something else, and I'll check with Willa if she wants to add something along the way. The tone of our voice is very important. I wouldn't be going up to somebody chewing gum or necessarily always smelling like Listerine, because then some people wonder what's under the Listerine.
Oh, Barbara.
They do. They listen. I've done this for 29 years, and I've met wonderful people, fabulous people, and I've also met a few that needed to go to the OK Corral. Okay, they did. and be okay with themselves, if you will.
Um,
And that is a challenge for any of us. So words and how you say them and coming up close to someone, always ask permission. Do not assume that you are the grand poobah of spiritual healing and you are going to make some kind of magic, because that's when God says, you need to go to the OK Corral for a little timeout. So what we do, be mindful of our words, gentle with yourself, as God is then gentle with them. A lower voice, speaking to them, asking them their first name. I always use a person's first name in my private healings. And I would say a very little important thing that I wrote down earlier, but I just feel it's very important. Do not look for the world or others to assess your value, healers, before you can value yourself first. Amen.
Amen.
So, in other words, interpretation, we have to work on ourselves as well as be the wonderful, beautiful place of an instrument to help others. You have a bad day, you don't feel good, your family is all at sixes and sevens or whatever the situation. Be big enough in the light of God to say, maybe this isn't my best day to be the conduit of that wonderful healing energy. Maybe I need to receive myself. And a friend and I yesterday were talking about this, and I would say, ladies and gentlemen, healers out there, people listening, for adversities that we go through, and there are many in this world, and I would say it can take up to 5 years of emotional, spiritual, and mental growth to get through the adversities of huge things in our life, such as grief, trauma, death, situations of around us that can affect the physical world, our own health, the health of our loved ones, so on and so forth. So, folks, spiritual healing is a progressive awareness, a progressive opportunity for us to heal ourselves first, and then for us to be the conduit of certainty. When I talk to people and I say to them, I had a very rough time in my life many years ago, and I took almost a total of 5 years to renew myself, to practice yoga, to walk, to eat the right food, to study spirituality. And that was a complex of many religions at that time, back in 35, 40 years ago, if you will. And it did so much good for me. And I listened to some very good people in my life, some spiritualists and non-spiritualists. And I began to get the understanding that we can't give away what we don't have. We can't give away love to someone if we don't understand what it is deeply and humbly and in a beautiful energy radiance within us as it flows through us. So words, intentions, focus, practicing, aligning ourselves in prayer. And by the way, I just like to this is 2C now, okay?
Easy. So we have one, and then we have 2A, B, and C so far.
I just thought it was a good way for people to understand. I'm changing a little bit.
Outline it for them.
That prayer, setting ourselves in a prayerful state, is not only the words coming out of our heart and soul, but it is the action of the energy that is embellished and built around us, inviting, if you will, guides, teachers, loved ones, God, the divine, the infinite, to just lift up the vibration and become a little stronger, not powerful to hurt anyone, a little stronger, a little more aware. And so your prayer, there is, spiritualism has a prayer, a spiritual healing prayer, which is lovely. And yet we don't even need to always repeat that. It is about your honest and sincere intentional prayer, be it spiritual healing, be it putting your children to bed in a little way, be it being grateful at the dinner table, be it helping another person. Your prayer should be spontaneous, without a lot of thought. It should come to you in the knowing of what resides and lives within you for the greater good of your life, your recipients, and our world. It should come authentically easy, without a lot of distress. Practice that. Mm-hmm. Practice that. Because then when you work in a healing way with someone, you may say, may I take your hands, please? Some people don't like that. Okay. But that is a way to find out from them if they're going to allow you to touch them. And if they say no, if they say, I'd rather just leave my hands on my lap, then I say to them, perhaps you would like a healing today that is done in the aura of your energy, the outside of your body without touching you. Oh, yes, that would be so good. I don't know what that person's suffered. I don't know how they've hurt. So my concern, as I told you a little while ago, is the person, not me, the person. And then if they say, yes, you may take my hands, or not, offer a prayer with them, either in front of them, looking at the beautiful radiance of them, or on the side of them, whatever works better. Be connected to them. Because if there's someone that won't allow or is fearful about touch, I'm going to guarantee to you, if you are heartfelt, if you are sincere, if you are mindful, and you offer a prayer, that's the first healing they receive. That's the first healing. Trust and allowing you to be present to them.
But it's such an important, I'm glad you're breaking this down for people so that they can see how it all will start to gel and come together as you maneuver your way into understanding energy more in your life. It is about allowing. As
it is allowing.
You're allowing, and also that responsibility portion of what the healer brings, but also the person who is seeking healing. Yes. And stepping into that. And, we do, as you said, we do have our spiritualist prayer. Would you like me to read it to them?
When I get, just a minute, I want to finish up a piece, and then sure. I would say, please, Willa, read that.
Yes.
Folks, the other thing I want to just bring to presence here is, if it is a live healing service, be it in Lilydale or anywhere, because of a matter of time and the number of people that are often present, we cannot take 20, 30 minutes or more to work with someone. There are exceptions upon occasion that I have taken someone and worked with them 10 or 12 minutes, but we try to confine it for the opportunity of people receiving. It doesn't mean, I want to go back and clarify this because somebody's got a question, I can already see. But the point is, in those 2 or 3 minutes, it does not mean that that person has not received something. They have. Every time the intention of love, soul consciousness, the connection of spirit and healers from the other side, and the love of spirit come to be presented and accepted by the person receiving a healing, something happens.
Mhm.
Something incredibly powerful of the spirit that is not often visually witnessed, though people do see rays of light. They do see white light, little pulsations. All of those things are possible. But all healing, I remind all of you folks, you don't have to be where I'm at or some other healer is at. You just be yourself and be your authentic self and be sincere. And while God is working through them, God is working with you. So every single healing has a positive effect. So, Willa, did you want to then,
Sure,
and with that,
I can
I
do
would like
that.
to, please, Willa, that Willa do the beautiful healing prayer. And I would ask you, Willa, that say it slowly. If you, I don't mean, no, you know what I'm saying. But people miss it. Sometimes they don't get the depth of this very powerful prayer. So, Willa, please, thank you.
And with this healing prayer, it is as Barbara has laid out for you. You'll notice some of the words she's used are part of that prayer, but maybe you'll see them in a new light. So just relax and take a deep breath and maybe close your eyes if you'd like. And just move into a space of allowing at this time. I ask the great unseen healing force to remove all obstructions from my mind and body. I ask this in all sincerity and honesty, and I will do my part. I ask this great unseen healing force to help both present and absent ones who are in need of help and to restore them to perfect health. I put my trust in the love and power of God. And so it is.
And so it is. It's a beautiful, powerful prayer. And I was looking through one of my old healing books from the 1890s. And that prayer, or maybe the early 1900s, I'm not quite sure, that prayer was already in use. Well, we think that it's a prayer from spiritualism or someone that it's anonymous, that the author has remained anonymous, which I sort of understand very deeply. And we think that that's a new prayer, folks. Maybe it's even older than that, because it encompasses acceptance, asking, giving, receiving, acknowledgement of your belief, and the holding of that love and blessings, not only for yourself, but for others, as I ask in absent and present, who are both absent and present. So it's a beautiful prayer, and it is on many spiritualist websites, and little cards are here and there for it in Lilydale. And if you are here during the summer, pick one up.
Yes, and I want to make sure everybody understands on Wednesday evenings, we do have what's called the Community Healing Service. And due to COVID, it has gone online. Some of you may be familiar with watching it on the Lilydale Facebook page or on the Lilydale Healing Temple Facebook page. You can tune in and just feel that energy of prayer that the healers who gathered via Zoom online to
Right, right.
offer to anybody who's in need. You know, all those healing lists are prayed for and prayed over, and know that healing does happen, even at this great distance, even via Zoom, even via
Absolutely,
Facebook.
absolutely,
It's
Willa.
amazing how we're able to do things without physical presence.
It's beautiful. And again, that statement is so true. Thank you, Willa. And the more you are, in the sense, understanding, attuned, working from what you have already learned as a healer and already healed within yourself, there's an incredible energy of love, understanding, compassion, and wisdom that steps into the person who's continually worked on themselves and listened to others and then been attuned to growth, if you will. And when you get 5, 8, 10 of those people in a healing circle, it is very powerful. But each person, as a spiritual healer who may work in a public setting, who comes to a person, can be prepared to talk, to offer, to give of their heart, through their heart, the wonderful gift of spiritual healing. Now, in many healing classes, we're going on to number 3. In many healing classes, we use a format or a directive of how to do a healing. It is because there is a general overview in spiritualism of a process or procedure that has been used for decades.
Mhm.
And it does work extremely efficiently. However, and you know, we always pause and go, however, what's she going to say now? Okay. However, folks, there are many other opportunities for us. Example number 1, we are magnetic. We are part of the earth, and the earth is part of us and part of God and the heavens and the universe. We are powerful beings. And when we spend time being better and better and better, the power seems to expand to some degree.
Mhm.
So when you place your hands on someone, I often start, after I've gotten permission and done a prayer, by gently as a love action would happen with a child or a parent or a grandparent or even a beautiful animal. We don't put our hands on someone like we're the Rock of Gibraltar and have to, you know, make a dent in the shoulders of the person receiving.
Mhm.
I have seen that happen. No, I have
It's
seen
it's
that.
very gentle. It's very gentle and very loving. And you know, as a healer, you can feel my hands are normally cold, but I feel my hands heat up
Yes,
during that
yes.
time.
The energy comes when you ask it to come, when you ask it to work through you, and then that it works through you to the people or the person receiving. I mean, I'm talking about it, I'm tingling already. It's like the energy of the spirit of life that does, of course, folks, leave us when we move to the next life. It goes with us to the higher realms. So let me go back about putting hands on people. You know, I would say that we don't, to some of the guys who don't realize how strong they are, they do not. It's not a fault. It's that they don't often realize. I just say to them, we are not bench pressing today.
I just have to tell everyone, Barbara teaches healing, and I know our time's coming short here. I just have to, The reason Barbara emphasizes this is because she wants you to be in that mode of the sacred healer, and she's really good about offering those points. And before we forget to mention it, you are teaching a healing workshop coming up in June.
Thank you, Willa.
Through the Church of the Living Spirit. So if you want very detailed ways of the best ways to offer spiritual healing and to navigate these waters of being a healer, I strongly suggest you sign up for Barbara's healing class, which is on, I think, June 12th through the Church of the Living Spirit. So you'll get more of Barbara's great insights and tips.
Well, the point making is some people do not totally comprehend unless you make reference to something in their arena, in their corral. And if you do that, sometimes they understand much easier than if you say you're placing your hands too heavily, too much pressure on the back of someone. And then I can walk away and I watch them, like, say, 2 weeks later, and they've revved it up again. So sometimes I just I love life. I love people. I would never, ever intentionally hurt anyone. So it is so much better.
The way I think of it is you'd be careful about putting your hand on the cake frosting, and you want impression. Right. That's the same thing on someone's shoulders.
Absolutely. Good analogy, Willa. Thank you so much. So I would say, remind them again, easy, will you sit with me for a healing so I can demonstrate for a possible way for you to make another choice. I'm not telling them they have to do it like I do it.
Well, there's a gentleness and a comfort that is intrinsic to spiritual healing, and certainly a vital component. So far we have the love, we have the intention, the connection, and the faith, and the prayer, the power of words, and the prayerful state.
Yes.
And then we have being in that mode of the gentle healer too.
Absolutely, Willa. And so you may place your hands on their shoulders, their back, perhaps the top of their head, but I would have you find a sequence that works to your ability. And that is another session, folks, because that would take up all of our time. And if you are interested, you can come to the healing class, and we will do, I think it's going to be Zoom, but we will do live demonstrations of healing. I'm going to go on.
Barbara will give you a deep dive about all of that. It's going to be great.
Thank you, Willa. Thank you. The part that I would say that you could end with, folks, is if they let you take their hands, say to them, may I take your hands? That's not only an ending, but it does a couple of things. It brings the person to focus again, that where they are, and that they need to come, need to be totally present to the conclusion of this healing. Because some people, absolutely, it's one of the few times they've ever relaxed. It's one of the few times they've ever allowed themselves to let go and accept a loving touch on their back. So we need to be mindful. Yes, I close my eyes a lot because I'm imagining and knowing that the flow of energy is working through me, but I also open my eyes to make sure that the person receiving is all right, is feeling okay. So I ask them at the end of the healing, may I take your hands for a brief moment of gratitude. Gratitude encases the whole experience of spiritual healing, not only inside the person, but around the person. And it is a blessing, so to speak, that invokes strength for that person to take this healing home, which I then say, please take this healing with you. Know it continues long after you leave this church, this building, this place. So it is also the willingness in the power outside of us to leave anything behind that no longer serves us. And in the richness of our Creator God, we also remind them that there is no lack or no wanting. It is us aligning ourselves and healing ourselves to come to a place of understanding that. And that is a progressive thing. That is a progressive thing. So did you want to say anything more, Willa, while I went on?
I know we just have a couple minutes left before we need to close for today, but I think it's really a good sequence that Barbara has taken us through in terms of the vital components of spiritual healing. And there's that intention that, and the love and the faith, all of that is the current of energy that you're flowing and going with. And if you're the one receiving the spiritual healing, you're very much part of that process through your allowing, through your connection, and allowing yourself to be restored and believing that to be happening. And it may happen incrementally with people. Any last thoughts before we announce the next week's shows?
Well, I just want to say, Willa, yes, indeed. And folks, these are some of the things that our world is hungry, hungry, hungry for. Now, I don't mean you have to put your hands on every single person, but the chaos and the conflict that is going on amongst different peoples in the world, I believe there can be some greater wisdom and understanding as the healer works with their voice and the environment and people, that we must remember also too that the physical reality of our world is shaped by our thoughts, our deeds, our actions. So if you can inspire and instill the gift of healing from God to someone, and they then begin to turn their light up, then you have done the greatest deed on this planet that God has given you as a gift. Thank you all for listening. I love you all. I love what you can do. I love the beauty that you are. So use it for yourself or others. Learn more about it. Be inspired. God bless you.
Thank you, Barbara. And I encourage you to check out Barbara's website. You're still in construction with your new website?
I am still working on that, Willa. Thank you.
So what's the email address you would like them to email you at? They want more information.
Very simple, lowercase, very simple. Thank you, Willa, for allowing me to do that. BSAN, very simple, at netsync.net. Netsync, NETSYNC.net.
And I will also post that with this video so that if you need to connect with Barbara Sanson, you absolutely can. And we can't thank you enough for coming on the show today. It's just been great to have you here. You're such a beautiful light. And I hope you're excited. Next week's guest is John Holland, who is, famous medium. He'll be on the show where we'll be talking about embracing your spiritual gifts. He'll share a bit more about his particular story and give you some tips going forward. And then the week after that, I'll be having Colin Bates on the show. We're going to be talking about palliative care and the spirit experience. So Colin Bates is another wonderful medium. He's from England, and he'll be back on the show to share about his personal experiences he had as a palliative care nurse, and things that helped him in his own mediumship. So a lot of great shows for you. Tune in next week on Wednesdays with Willa on my Facebook page, Willa White Medium, Wednesday at 10 a.m. Eastern. Thank you, everyone, for your kind attention. Lots of love to you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.